Before we start, please support our channel by subscribing, and click the bell icon for future notifications. Now, let's start. Today we're gonna tell you the storyline of a movie called My Name Is Vendetta, from the year 2022. The movie starts in a sports stadium in Italy, where Sandro, Romeo and Ingrid, a married couple, were seen watching an ice hockey tournament, where their daughter Sofia was playing in. Even though there was some tension in the game when one of her opponents tried to play dirty, Sofia managed to carry her team to win, with her epic long shot. After the match, Sofia wasn't heading directly to her parents, but to the parking lot where she met her boyfriend named Hakeem, who was known for his dirt bike hobby. She was greeted by her parents when she approached them, and her dad bumped his fist to his chest, showing how he was so proud of her, which was replied with the same gesture by Sofia. When they were about to enter their car, Sofia suddenly remembered about her father's promise to teach her to drive, if she managed to win a hockey game with her team.
Okay.
In the afternoon, in the mountains, there was a house where Santo and his family had stayed for years, which was chosen not because of the amazing view, but instead Santo had his own reasons, which even his family didn't know about.
Okay.
Ciao, man.
Soon after, comes the time for Santo to teach Sofia to drive, where Sofia was in the driving seat, driving the car through the woods and the rivers and the slopes and mountainsides. Sofia drives through the terrain without any difficulties. After the driving session, they decided to take a break while embracing the view around them. Then, Sofia suddenly asked her father about the reason why he chooses to have a house in the secluded place. He was shocked a little, but he then replied lightly, by saying it was done to chase for her mother's love, back when they were younger. Right before they went home, when Santo was correcting his side mirror, Sofia photographed her father silently. Since he was anti-camera and social media, she then uploaded it to her Instagram right away. But little did she know, her Instagram story was the very beginning of a disaster. Because right after that, Santo's face was detected by a biometric system belongs to a mafia, who has been looking for and hunting her father. Long story short, Santo was seen doing his woodcutting job, with the help of his brother-in-law, Patrick. Santo then told Patrick to pick up Sofia from her hockey training, because he needs to repair his bug-cutting machine. Arriving at home, Patrick and Sofia were greeted by Ingrid. Sofia went to her room right after, while Patrick and Ingrid were having some chat in the dining room. Until they were visited by two intruders, who immediately attacked Ingrid without any warnings. Patrick was about to defend Ingrid, but unfortunately, he was also attacked, and they both died in that attack. Soon after, the intruders noticed Sofia's presence, and they finally chased her off because she ran away. When the night comes, Santo rushes home, after Ingrid and Sofia didn't pick up any of his calls. Arriving home, he was shocked by his wife's and his in-laws' dead body in his house. Soon after, Sofia came back, and Santo immediately took her to hide in an abandoned building. Then Sofia asked her father about what was happening. But Santo seems not ready to explain. Even then he told Sofia not to go anywhere, not even to call the police, and told her that they were gonna die out there, without any further explanations. Meanwhile, in a mansion in Milan, Rudy Cesara, one of Santo's intruders, was seen in a room with his boss, Don Angelo Lobianco, the mafia. Rudy was there to give Don the footage of the murder, as evidence that Santo was actually dead. But after watching the footage, Don realizes that his men had murdered the wrong person. There, Rudy called his friend to look for Santo again, and assassinate him and his daughter. Meanwhile, in the hideout, Sofia went mad and messed the place up. There Santo calmed her, and finally decided to tell her the truth about his dark past, as an assassin for a mafia group which was the rival of Don's. Back then, Santo was given a mission to assassinate Don's oldest son. And right after he finished the mission, he decided to retire, disguise his identity, and changed his name from Domenico Franze to Sandro Romeo. Sofia then blamed her father for being dishonest, and got her mother killed.
la mamma è morta!
Soon after, Domenico Franze aka Santo Romeo packed his stuff, and prepared himself to go. But before that, he gave Sofia a cell phone, and told her not to use the phone to contact anyone, but only to receive a call from him. And he promised her that he will be right back. In the midst of her solitude, she apparently was disappointed in her father. She looked down on him, and recklessly uses the cell phone to call her boyfriend Hakim, to pick her up.
Sofia.
But again, her recklessness led her to another disaster, when the mafia managed to track her signal to the abandoned building. On the other hand, there was an old man named Vituzzo, who was known as Don Angelo's colleague, walking to his restaurant. But right after he entered the place, he was attacked by Santo, where Santo bombarded him with questions about Vituzzo's connection to his wife's murder. Until finally he speaks up, and Santo murders him. At the hideout, Hakim finally arrived, and Sofia immediately jumped on his bike, and they went away. But unfortunately, they passed by a car at an intersection, that turns out to be Don Angelo's men, which then they took a U-turn to chase Sofia off. Meanwhile Santo, who had just arrived back at his hideout, was shocked because Sofia was not there like he told her to. He then immediately drove off to look for her daughter. The chase was continued into the woods, where Hakim loses control of his bike, which makes them fall off. Unfortunately, the chaser took the chance and managed to shoot Hakim in the head. Sofia struggled to escape, but she failed and was put into the car trunk. When the chaser was about to start the car, suddenly Santo appeared, and attacked him. And a fight occurred. In the fight, Santo was stabbed in his side. At the same time, Sofia manages to escape the trunk, and immediately hit the chaser from behind. It benefits Santo, where he finally broke the chaser's arm, and shot him dead. Because of his bleeding side, Santo then stopped his car at a gas station to get a bandage to cover his wound, while telling Sofia to keep herself covered with her hoodie. While Sofia was taking the bandages for her father, she saw the news on the TV, about her mother's murder, but it cornered them even more, because they accused Santo of the murder. After Santo finished treating his wound, they finally continued their journey, but this time with Sofia on the steering wheel, to give Santo time to rest. Meanwhile in Don's house, seen Don and his son, Michele Lo Bianco. There Michele told his dad to give up on his revenge, because he was afraid that it was gonna affect the bank Michele was currently running. Hearing that, Don stands up and slaps his son angrily. And Don reminded him about what Franze did to his older brother 20 years ago. Long story short, when the night comes, Santo suddenly tells Sofia to pull over, when he sees a parked car on the roadside. There he hijacked the car, and drove off with it to blur their trace. On the other hand, Don met an expert with a lot of connections, named Ferrario, where he asked Ferrario to trace Franze's whereabouts through the CCTVs. Santo and Sofia finally arrived at Milan's suburbs, where they stopped near an abandoned house to make it their hideout. There, Santo tried to lay down his body in pain. When Sofia was about to change his bandage, he was unable to endure more pain, and fell unconscious. Sofia panicked. She then went outside to a clinic nearby to seek help. They refused at first. Until Sofia offers them a lot of money, they finally allow them in, and give Santo medical treatment. In a semi-conscious state, Santo remembered the day when Ingrid gave birth to Sofia. Soon after, Sofia accidentally found a letter in her father's wallet. There, he wrote about how grateful he was for Ingrid, and also the birth of Sofia, which completed his little heaven he had always dreamt of. Soon after he awakens, Santo apologizes to Sofia, for dragging her to bear the guilt of his past. He then gets up, and immediately asks Sofia to get out of that place. Apparently, Ferrario managed to trace their position from the CCTV footage the night before, and then they sent their men to the clinic. There, Rudy Cesara conducted a sweep to the wards of the clinic, but he found no sign of Santo's presence. Until suddenly he saw a glimpse of a passing shadow, and chased it off. Santo ran away from Rudy, while Sofia, who just got a vehicle to escape, instead meets the mafia. Even with his not fully healed wound, Santo managed to push Rudy down the stairs, and took his gun. And he immediately went up the stairs, after he heard a gunshot from outside. Sofia was being gun-pointed, and couldn't do anything. Fortunately, Santo came at the right time, and shot the gunner first. They then went to look for a new hideout. There, Santo realizes that Don Angelo wouldn't stop chasing them, if they're still alive. Santo was left with no other choices but to strike first, to kill first, in order not to get killed. Santo then assembled an explosive, and trained Sofia to defend herself, and to attack with a knife. At night, Sofia shows her father a blueprint of the bank where Michele worked. The day after, Sofia approached the bank to take pictures of the guards' positions, and sent it to her father. But suddenly, she was approached by one of the guards, who chased her away from the area. On the other hand, when a guard just entered a car, he was immediately being gun-pointed by Santo. Santo then ordered him to drive inside the basement parking area. Inside, Santo immediately hit the guard unconscious, took his gun, and entered the guard's elevator. Outside, Sofia has ignited the bomb and threw it inside a trash bin. The explosion managed to attract everybody's attention, so that Santo can easily get into Michele's room. Santo then took Michele as hostage, and brought him into a car, where Sofia was already there to hit the gas. But they were surrounded. It forces Sofia to hit the guards, and leaves Santo there. A shootout occurred between Santo and the guards, until Sofia finally came back for her father and managed to escape. In the hideout, Santo approached his daughter, saying that he was gonna end it all for good, and excuses himself away. Meanwhile, Rudy showed Don Angelo a picture of Michele, from Santo. Santo ordered Don to confess all his crimes from the last 30 years, to the public and media, before the date changes. Because if not, Santo threatened to kill Don's only left son. Don then asked Ferrario to trace Santo, which led them to a signal from a train wreck area. Rudy and Don's men then rushed to the spot, where they spotted Santo's car, locked, with no signs of Santo around. Suddenly, a shot downed one of them. Santo keeps on moving, and shooting, and downed them one by one. It panicked them, and made them fall back behind the car. Santo then pulls out his cell phone and makes a call, which turns out, he used to ignite the bomb inside the car. There's only Rudy left. He tried to remain calm, and keep on looking for Santo. Until finally, Santo ambushes him and manages to stab him in his arm and leg. Rudy then said, that for Don, his power was way more important than his son. Santo then stabs Rudy to death. After hearing Rudy's last words, Santo realizes that taking Mitchell as a hostage wouldn't stop Don. And because of that, Santo called Sofia to say his last goodbye. She cried. She can't accept it. Santo then drove off to Don's mansion by himself. As a former assassin, taking down the guards was just a piece of cake. Until finally Santo managed to enter Don's room, and strangled him with a rope to death. The police force finally arrived. Santo walks out the front door casually, with a lot of red dots all over him. He then intentionally made a sudden move, which made dozens of bullets pierce his body. Meanwhile, the police forces also arrived at the hideout, to take Sofia and Michele. The next day, Sofia, who was taken to the monastery, was visited by Michele. There he gave her a box of chocolates, as a peace sign, and he asked her to let go of their parents' dark past. And he said, that he was ready to help her with anything at any time. But unfortunately, the grudge in him was never actually gone. In his car, he orders Ferrario to assassinate Sofia, as soon as she gets out of the monastery. And to make sure she is strangled with rope, just like how Santo did to his father. Meanwhile, Sofia realizes something was off. She then remembers her father saying to strike first, and to kill first, in order not to get killed. She then decided to run away from there, to end the revenge chain. Which makes Ferrario went back empty-handed the next day. This of course shocked Michele, and it shocked him even more, when it turns out, that Sofia was already waiting for him, in his room.
Non sono la prima ragazza che fai venire qui, vero?
Immagino tu sia venuta.
Michele pretends to talk softly to her, but suddenly Sofia replies with her knife, stabbed through his mouth. And the movie ends. What do you think of this movie? Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts on the comments section below. If you have any movie you want us to recap, please do tell us in the comment as well. And until next time.